Hello, it's Jimmy back for another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, where we look at the posts on Libertarian Uncensored subreddit, and let's get right into it. So first off, we have why elite libertarians failed so miserably on COVID from the Epoch Times by u/scrow. And I said, I think that I personally think the Epoch Times isn't really the best source, but I do think the current movement we see in the LP does come from the failure due to the failures on COVID, and that's important to remember. So that's the thing. People, you're not entitled to your party's leadership, and I think the old leaders of the LP kind of felt that way, and I think that's important to remember. You're not entitled to really anything, I would say, and I think that's why you kind of saw the Midas Caucus take over for the LP. Then we have, on this day, May 13th, in 1985, the Philadelphia Police Department initiated what would be known as the Move bombing LPPA from the LPPA on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, remember, the police can literally get away with bombing you, no one will hold them accountable for it. That's kind of the world we live in. A lot of people can use force as when they're with the government, and no one will hold them accountable for it. The police, all the alphabet agencies, arguably probably the military as well if it ever came to that. That's the thing. This is why you can't trust anyone, because they can those in power can always rid themselves of any responsibility, and that's important to remember, because there are no rules that force people to be held accountable. That's important to remember. If there are, they can just disregard them. Because they have the authority on their side, not yours, and I think that's important to remember. Yeah. Then we have Magnolia Youth Pastor charged with indecency of a child forced victims to spoon and cuddle with him. Court docs show another one from clickhouston.com by Chi-Town20. We went over this. They always like to accuse all the right of all the bad stuff. But I think there are a lot of people of all over the political spectrum who are doing bad stuff right now, and I think social media can really see all that. Next, we have U.S. judge's lawsuit to block probe leads courts to uncharted waters from Reuters.com by Ninja Lover. I think that's interesting. What's that about? Yeah. I personally think, I don't believe in the courts. I don't believe in the legal system at all. I think, the people should do what they think is law, should what they think is right, and sometimes that might be in violation of what the courts say, but as long as they don't violate the NAP, I think it's okay. So I think if you want to, if the court says, "Oh, this probe wasn't legal," it doesn't matter what the court says. The court is designed to uphold the state, and that's why you can't trust the courts. They are fundamentally tools of the state, and that's important to remember, because the state is never going to hold itself accountable for anything, because they have no reason to. They have the authority on their side, as we went over earlier. Then we have chart study showing number of studies finding positive effects from school choice programs versus negative effects from Imgur.com, and that's by Ruin My Circle Jerk. And I said, what did I say here? Of course, a lot of comments being negative about school choice. They all think, oh, that's, they need to go to public school because there's lots of Democrats on the sub, and neo-Marxists, I would say. Where did I comment? I said that they only agree with the science when it's what the media says. That's what they agree with, the science. And one guy said, no, I'm a scientist. You should believe what I say. And I said, oh, so you're a scientist, so you get to determine what everyone else thinks without question. Okay, I got it. That's the thing. That's what they want. They want you to think exactly what they say without question. And that's why I don't like them. You just need to think for yourself. You can't just let other people think for you. And that's what they want to do. They want to think for you. They feel entitled to think for you because they have so much education, they say, usually. And they're like, oh, the thing is, oh, I feel entitled to think for you, and another thing is, it's like, you're not allowed to disagree at all. They say, oh, any disagreement, they'll call you Hitler, a Nazi, anything they can throw at you. And if any disagreement at all, they'll say, oh, it's commit genocide. They'll just throw buzzwords at you. It's just, this is how bad it's getting. They throw those buzzwords at you, and it's just gonna be really hard to argue with. And that's why I think a lot of people are tired today, because we just get that 24/7 from both sides. But I personally think the Democrats are a little worse than that currently. But they're really just a uniparty, as I always like to say. So next we have why the U.S. government, the country's largest employer, wants to ban the salary history question by Haram from NBCDFW.com. And I think, if the U.S. government wants to, should be able to ask any questions it wants to, if you want to work there. I think the U.S. government's a private employer. They should be able to make whatever rules they want when it applies to themselves. But I think, I guess that's fine. But, someone needs to hold them accountable if they do something unpopular, like this could be interpreted to be, or I don't know, I guess, yeah. Then we have a lot of people just need a little help by Muvhuggin Inc. That's an image link. It's a meme saying Oregon legalizes crack because haha funny. Knowing Oregon really decriminalized hard drugs to refer addicts to treatment centers, not prisons, so they can actually recover. I think that's a good meme. The thing is, I think people should do as much drugs as they want, but I think they should probably still be stigmatized. I think people should probably get help, as this meme suggests. And I think if people want to give them help, they should be able to, but they shouldn't be forced to do so. That's my thoughts on the issue. Then we have Texas legislature passes bill allowing chaplains in public schools. It's an archive link from Washington Post. That's by FlimsyOut5563. I personally don't think I believe in the separation of church and states. But with that being said, I think if a public school wants to have a chaplain and the school board is fine with it, I think that's completely fine. I think that's my fault in the issue. I think that's completely fine. I think that's freedom of association, and I don't think that's something that should be regulated. If people want to associate with each other, they should be able to. If the school wants to hire a chaplain, and I think they should be able to. That's my fault in the issue. Then we have 75-year-old woman cuts off water for 2 years following an expensive pipe burst in the heart of Houston from ABC13.com by Puffin fan. And I guess if you want to do that, you should be able to. I personally think, the thing is, you should be able. I think the thing with water, with the water system is, it's kind of inherently collectivist. So I personally would say, if you want to get water, you should be able to. But if you don't want it, you shouldn't be forced to subscribe to it either, I don't think. Then we have Twitter blocks content in Turkey one day before national election from Forbes.com by Donald Key. And yeah, I posted another link of that from Reason earlier today. That's another post we'll get to. I personally think, I posted they were caved to the authoritarian censorship from the Turkish government. I said, they should stop doing that. Same caving censorship request from the USA's authoritarian government. And that did happen because if you read in the Twitter files, Part 6 and Part 7, if you read those, it says, the FBI had pervasive contact with Twitter, and they did give Twitter some money. I think like around $3 million. That's what Part 7 says. So that's important to remember. So, I don't think we should justify this when it's the U.S. government. I don't think we should justify this when it's Turkey's government. I don't think we should justify this under the old regime. I don't think we should justify this under Elon. I think we need to support free speech as long as the NAP is not being violated. So that's my thoughts on the issue. Then we have another bill requiring porn sites to verify user age in Virginia signed into law from WTKR.com by another one by Donald Key. And I'd say that I personally don't think people should be forced to verify age at any time. But I think, if the state can justify this, I think they should be able to, I guess, I personally don't think it's just, I don't think we should really regulate the internet, though, so that's my thoughts on that issue. I think it's the job of the parents, caretakers, to keep their kids off of the porn, and not that of the state. Next we have federal government making their employees work on the weekend. A tweet from Angela McCardle, and that was all the Patriot Front false flag they had in D.C. recently. You can. It's probably like I said, probably like 95 to 100% feds. Maybe an autistic guy or two doesn't know any better because they have little self awareness. That's my thoughts on the issue. I think it's clearly just to push the narrative above all else, and I think that's kind of what you see on sites like Reddit and Twitter. They want to push this narrative that there are Nazis everywhere, even though the membership, according to Wikipedia, which is left biased, remember, says it's only about 200. But no, it's they're trying to push this narrative, and that's important to remember. I think Antifa is probably mostly feds as well, but I think all these Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Patriot Fronts, they're probably feds as well. I think like most political violence is probably federal entrapment, I would say, in the U.S. Now we have an explosive new lawsuit claims TikTok's owner built backdoor that allowed CCP to access U.S. user data. From archive. It's an archive link of from Insider. That's by Harumph. And I say, I think if you use anything online, I don't care what website it is, they probably have multiple ways to get your data. That's just probably by like a single institution. You got to worry about every single world government, every single private enterprise probably has ways to get your data, and that's important to remember. And that's how they can market to you so easily. So that's why I think on the issues. Next, we have hundreds of white supremacists march on Washington, D.C. today from motherfucking Inc., and I've made my thoughts clear on that. I think it's a false flag, and it's just kind of to craft a narrative, I think, above all else. Because they wouldn't let, I saw a tweet, the police wouldn't let them follow the white supremacists, the Patriot Front, into the subway, because that's when they were getting changed into their normal clothes. It's all entrapment, I would say. Then we have HP disables customers' printers if they use ink cartridges from cheaper rivals from telegraph.co.uk from motherfucking ink. And I think my thoughts on that issue is I think we need to hold corporations accountable for their authoritarianism as well as the government. So I personally would be against that, but they are the ones who ultimately have the power to do it because they all connected. I think you should be able to jailbreak printers and use them without what HP says, but I think it's important to do. It's important to know how to do that. You always have to learn how to jailbreak things, so those in positions of corporate authority won't come after you. So that's what I think. Yeah, I'll write it down right now. Yeah, better learn to jailbreak every product so they can't stop you. Yeah. So next we have Russia wants Family Guy banned over offensive depiction of country. This is deliberate work against our country. Information warfare through autistic works. They deliberately create an image of Russia as a country where everyone is unhappy with life, drinking, using drugs, taking bribes, from Newsweek.com by Vajospel. And I said, they should see how Family Guy portrays the U.S. and makes Russia's portrayal looks nice. And I shit on the U.S. government a lot, but at least they never made a serious effort to ban Family Guy or South Park. So at least we always have that. I think that's probably coming too. You're probably not going to be able to make fun of certain things anymore without going to prison. Like that one guy in the UK, he said, "Oh, well, I put 4 trans flags here to make a swastika," and they arrested him for it. That's coming to the U.S. I would say they don't care about the First Amendment, and I think that's important to remember. So I think definitely artistic freedom and party are just going to be slowly crushed down over as the years continue to go on. Then we have a new Supreme Court decision, abortion lurks just below the surface, from Politico.com by Ruin My Circle Jerk, and that's from a ruling on California animal welfare law could embolden states seeking to regulate abortion across state lines. I personally don't think. I think I'm for nullification. I don't think anything. I think if you don't like a policy at the national level, you should regulate it on the state level. If you don't like a policy at the state level, you should regulate it on the local level. If you don't like a policy on the local level, you should regulate it at the individual level. That's my thoughts on the issue. I don't care what the Supreme Court says. I'm gonna keep doing what I keep doing, and they can't stop me as long as I'm not violating the NAP. But, you know, they can define napkins as whatever they want. That's important to remember, too. So I think you need to remember that as well. Then we have the Treasury and Quangocracy from the LibertarianIdeal.com, provide the Libertarian Ideal. I guess this is a self-post, I would say. And let's see, I don't really. I wonder what a Quangocracy is. I'll have to look that up. Quangocracy, Google says, or Wiktionary says, ruled by Quangos or similar unelected bodies. Yeah, I would agree with that. The thing is, the unelected bureaucrats and the alphabet agencies and other U.S. government branches are the ones who really, I would say, control the government over the elected officials. I think that's important to remember. You know, they kind of can make decisions for the government since they are employed by it, and that's important to remember that they are the ones really running the show. I would say, you know, that's kind of important. That's what I would note on that. It happened again by Clorox. That's just a self-post. It says, a random person I just met starts doing triple con outrage porn talking with students. One is my idiotic nearby school ex having to ride a little box for kid and now hoax. I met the janitor who told me. And, you know, I'm pretty clear on my thoughts on the issue. I think people need to be allowed to be stupid. You can't force everyone to think exactly as you do without turning into an authoritarian douchebag. Yeah, so I think you have a right to be stupid, and you have a right to, because, you know, who defines what stupid is? You know, you can't force everyone to have a high IQ. You can't do like Harrison Bergeron and force everyone to have a low IQ either. You know, that's important to remember. You know, you have to, that's why I think we need to encourage these days is free thought, and that's increasingly encouraged by no one. Everyone wants them to agree with them 100% of the time, or else they'll be excommunicated. And that's why I think we as a society are just increasingly becoming increasingly collectivist and unfree thinking. That's my thoughts on the issue. We're getting there. Your mom hates you from Frosty Slawman. It's a YouTube video of a guy on a bike yelling at the Patriot Front protest in D.C. this weekend. And yeah, I'm being honest. I think that's probably entrapment. And we have The Importance of Your Right to Your IP by Nathan R.H. I'm personally more on the anti-IP side. I think, you know, it all depends on who has the force to make whatever they want fit. I personally more for freedom of individual expression. You know, I think all IP, you know, eventually you can justify. Like I definitely think we need less copyright terms, maybe like 5 to 10 years instead of like 50 to 100 years. But I definitely think, you know, I think you should be able to do whatever you want for any character you want, because if you put something out there, then you have put it out there, you know. So you should allow other people to do what they want. I think as long as they as long as they do what they do what they want. Yeah, unless you have the force to stop them. That's what I think on IP laws. I'm personally pretty against them. Why the Patriot Front are probably mostly feds, and that's a self-post for myself. I said, 1, they seem to have almost no social media presence whatsoever outside of the times you hear them marching. Why could that be? 2, Washington, D.C. is not exactly the most far-right town, especially when you look at how it votes in presidential elections. These guys seem to easily make it there. How could that be? Why does the narrative about them always spread so quickly and seamlessly? You can find tons of other crazy protests in D.C., especially if you look across from the White House, but no one ever really brings those up. And I think, you know, they also found them marching into the subway, and the police were blocking it off because they were changing back to their normal clothes. So that's why I think, you know, these are probably feds. You know, if you don't believe they're not feds, you should be able to, but, you know, believe whatever you want. Yeah. I think, you know, believe whatever you want. You know, believe they're feds, believe they're not feds, but, you know, yeah. Let's see what we have next. We have Cuba's LGBTQ community celebrates same-sex marriage with pride conduct, chanting socialism yes, homophobia no from France24.com by Chi-Town. You know, I personally say I'm more against socialism, but homophobia, I'm against that too. You know, so I think, you know, if people want before socialism, they should be able to, you know, should be able to express whatever they want, and I think that's what this is. You know, I think this is going to be fine. Then we have Ohio Catholic priest convicted of sex trafficking, abusing church-going minors into adulthood. Sounds like grooming from WHIO.com by Chi-Town. And I said, I'll say, this is just another narrative post. I would say, they want to, they got bad faith factors on the left as well, but you never hear them call out drag queen if they ever had child porn. They'll say like when I posted the link to they're having this nudity show for in the UK about showing kids about body positivity. And he says, "Oh, that's non-sexual nudity." If that was on Fox News, he'd be like, "Oh, that's pedophilia." But no, it's not very much who does things. It's not very much what is being done, but rather who does things, I would say. Then we have a tweet from the LP National. Democrats, we must protect our national democracy. Republicans, we must protect our national republic. Libertarians, we must dismantle their national oligarchy. I would agree with that. I think when they say national democracy or national republic or whatever they say, that's really just code for our hegemony, our oligarchy, our system of power to control you with, and that's important to remember. They don't really mean it. They just need words to make it sound good. That's pretty much a lot of what modern discourse is. And you need words to make it sound good. You can't say, "Oh, I want segregation and I want segregation back." But if you make it sound good, for the language of justice, you can say, "Oh, we need LGBTQ and BIPOC only spaces to protect minorities, to protect them from harm." That's gonna sell. That's why you gotta make things sound good. Like, that's important to remember. And we have the ANCAP border situation by your state officers, an immigrant link to a tweet from 9MMSMG. Hear me out, a border wall made of these remote operated miniguns. This will be significantly more expensive than a traditional wall, but I have a free market solution for all you lazy for your types. A 24-hour streaming service you can even buy VIP access to. I think I'm personally more on the open border side, but if the people, if people have the ability, if the force to do this, I think they should be able to. But they should definitely be warning signs, I would say, before you make it to the border and you're gunned down. So that's what I think on the issue. Then we have we talked about the Turkish Twitter issue. Then we have the UK's secret web service surveillance program is ramping up. A government effort to collect people's internet records is moving beyond its test phase, but many details remain hidden from public view. It's an archive link of from Wired, and I said they have been doing this privately for years. Remember, the NSA revelations were a decade ago. Now I guess governments like the US and UK will just start doing it openly. So I guess that's probably what's made the biggest change here. Then we have New York Times publisher journalism should be free of writers' personal beliefs. And that's from CJR.org. And I said, good luck with that ever happening, because being human is to be inherently biased, and that's important to remember. You just can't rid yourself of all biases, because that's kind of what journalism is. Then we have Congress wants to regulate AI, but has a lot of catching up to do from NPR.org, but it's never her one. And I think, I'm personally against regulation, but I guess you can justify it here to prevent like a Skynet situation from happening. So I think that's important to remember too. I personally would be against it either though, because I think AI is humans' creation, so they have to deal with it. So I don't think it should be regulated. I think we have to see how far this can go. And I think is that it? I think we got two more posts. Co-workers could bear cost of accommodating religious employees in the workplace. The Supreme Court tosses out 46-year-old precedent from the conversation.com. I personally think we should accommodate as many people as possible, and I think that's important to do, because it should be accommodating if they want to, but they shouldn't be forced to. So that's my fault on the issue. And U.S. Marshals spy on abortion protesters using data mine from the Intercept.com by Harumph. And I'd say, yeah, that's probably bad. But, there's probably many other people spying on you as well, so that's important to remember. So I think that's about it. And we're going to wrap it up here at around the 25-minute mark. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Yeah, bye.